Yeah, let me remove my
Evening.
background.
This is the Bicycle Pedestrian Commission meeting. Today is October 15, 2025. I call the meeting to order. It's 7:01 p.m. David, can you help us with the roll call?
Yes. Chair Ganga,
Yes?
Vice Chair Eshelbeck,
Here.
Commissioner Maripatla,
Yes.
Commissioner Marcy,
Here.
Commissioner Wolf.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, David. Yeah, with that, the first item is the approval of the minutes. This is the approval of the minutes of the August 20, 2025 meeting. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Let's give it a minute for the commissioners to just review it, or if they have any questions.
One little comment I would like to make is, I think I mentioned during the meeting that there were cyclists who wanted to ride on the expressways, and I don't think I said many. I said they showed up, that in the notes we have many cyclists. Yeah. I think I said many, but it's just.
Can you bring up the minutes? Yeah.
So at the very end of the report.
So it says Commissioner Marcy shared that many community members, so
And
they should just say shared that community member.
there are some more community members, but not many.
So Commissioner desires we could
We could amend
amend that amendment.
approve that amendment. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yes. Okay. So anyway, is there someone who's proposed to approve?
I move to approve the meeting minutes from August 20 with the amendment we talked about.
Second.
All right. Thank you. So with that, David, can you help us with the what?
Yeah, so for the motion to approve the August 20th, 2025 minutes with the correction that Commissioner shared that some community members express interest. How do you vote, Chair Garner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Eshelbeck,
Yes.
Commissioner Maripatla,
Yes.
Commissioner Marcy,
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
And how?
Changing.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to.
You could probably move forward.
All right. Thank you, David. The motion passes. Let's move on to the next item. Do we have any postponements, David? No. Okay, now is the oral communications, and this is for the topics that are not on the agenda. Where the public.
Maripatla has his hand raised.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah. So, Chair Ganga and David, do you have to disclose, where I'm joining this meeting from and stuff like that? Are there any requirements, legal requirements, so that no public knows?
I don't believe so.
The information
It's on the agenda.
it's on the agenda.
Okay.
The amended agenda, we already have that information.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, just to make sure, like the Commissioner Madhipatla is actually joining us remotely. And the address has already been disclosed in the amended agenda.
Yes, and I have the door open, so that that's why I removed the background so that you guys can see that the front door is open for any public that wants to come and join the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the first, what I was saying is like this is the the part of the meeting, which is like a oral communications, and the public can make comments on the items that are not on the. Do you have any blue cards or anyone from remote?
Oh, we have one speaker on Zoom.
Okay.
Okay, one moment. Welcome, Nori.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for this opportunity. Bicycle is considered a vehicle as it is a machine used to transport people and is subject to the same traffic law as the motor vehicle. For the reason riding a bicycle on a sidewalk is prohibited because unsafe for both cyclists and pedestrians. City Memorial Park specific plan says since the park does not feature any designated bicycle trail, bicycle riding in the park is discouraged due to potential conflict with pedestrians. Pedestrians were injured by bicycle in the memorial park. I know people who were injured by bicycle. An elderly woman was even taken to hospital. I was almost hit by bicycle a few times. Even my dog was almost hit from back. There are many families with small children, seniors, senior with youth walker or cane, people with baby stroller, people with a dog, and people using cell phone in the park. Those people cannot move quickly when the bicycle comes so fast. Park is no longer a safe place for the people and the children who are walking, jogging, and playing. The new shark-shaped bicycle rack in front of gazebo is the wrong place. If city, it seems like a city encouraged the cyclists to ride a bike in the park. The bicycle rack should be placed in the parking lot or behind the Queen's Center because bicycle is considered as a vehicle. Cyclists and pedestrians cannot share the narrow walkway in the park unless city built the bike lane just like a street to protect pedestrians. Otherwise, it might cause more injury. Small children ride a tricycle or a small bicycle exempt because their parents are always watching. CIP proposed 2 designated bike route in the Memorial Park. Those are from Mary to Christensen and Elvis. Those bike routes have to be enough wide and build a physical divider for walker and cyclist. Then cyclists are not allowed in any other walkway. There are many cycling trail in Cupertino, like a bridge over 280, run to San Antonio, Linda Vista trails, and many more. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Nori. We have no other speakers on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you. Anyone in the room? No. Okay, so with that, I now close the public comment period. So next item is the written communication. Do you have any written communications?
No, Chair.
David, no. Okay. The next item is agenda item number 2. This is the Cupertino 2025 Fall Bike Fest. Bridget Warner.
Good evening. So I was here in August talking to you about all of our plans for Bike Fest, and on September 27th, we had our Bike Fest. Very exciting. Thank you to the three commissioners who came and to everybody else. Very helpful. And I wanted to give you a quick recap of the festival and how it compares to last year. So attendance wise, we had more people than last year, which is exciting, probably about 100. It's a little bit hard to completely estimate. What we do is count a lot of different things and then put all the estimates together. We did the number of volunteers and vendors, that's pretty known. So we had about 160 people come out, including the three of you to come help us put this on. So it's a big event, or it's a big effort by all of Cupertino, which is really nice. We had 3 rides this year. We had the long ride, which we built the Tour de Cupertino. It was about 10 miles. We had about 60 people on that ride. The short ride is went to Wilson Park for a scavenger hunt and came back. That was huge this year. That was 270 people. One of the things for next year is somehow we have to figure out how to make that a little smaller or do something different because it was too big. But that's an interesting problem to have. So it's kind of exciting. And then this year we debuted our Little Loop, which was just on the little section of Town Center Lane, which is between Torrey and Sandra James Park. So the whole thing is only like 200 feet, as circle, teeny tiny loop. We had 275 little kids on that doing laps. So that was geared for little scoot bikes and tricycles and bikes with training wheels. So that was a lot of little kids. It was exciting. And then another thing that's easy to count is the number of smoothies we made. And Teresa Olson came and helped us out for the first year, and she had things moving lickety split, and they made 650 smoothies. So that was pretty impressive in 4 hours. So, and then I also have the 224 numbers there, just so you can see how we compare and what some of the trends are. This year, for the first time, we counted up distance ridden, which is I don't know why we've never thought to count this before. It's exciting. The long ride, of course, is a big hit because it's 10 miles for one person. So it adds up really, really fast. But then again, that little loop that I was talking about with the 275 kids, they rode a total of 72 miles. They did so many laps. It's kind of crazy to think about. They did lots and lots of laps. Altogether, when you count up everything, Bike Fest rode about 1,385 miles. That is far enough to go to the Grand Canyon and come back. So that's pretty impressive in 4 hours. Of course, in addition to all the people that helped out, there's also a cost involved. We try very hard to make it a low cost event. We don't go all out, as you know. Our big splurge is actually the canopies, tables, and chairs that we rent and have someone else set up, just so that the volunteers don't have to do all of that. But other than that, it runs at about $25,000. Of that, 80 some odd % is reimbursable by Measure B with our funds for the city of Cupertino. So in the end, Bike Fest cost the city of Cupertino general fund about $4,000. So I don't know if you have any questions. That's my formal presentation. Informally, pictures, of course, are king, and they're really cute when it comes to Bike Fest. This is Poppy. I think I hope everybody saw her in person. She comes back every year. She's a little bit different every year, which is exciting. And the vendor has a lot of fun building her, so she's fun. We had moved volunteer check-in into Community Hall this year, which worked out great. We're going to do that again. Just lots of people. The registration booth. Helmet fitting. So they would, if you came with your helmet, they would make sure that it fit properly. And if you were a little kid who didn't have a helmet, the Santa Clara Public Health was out giving out free helmets. Lots of those. Then you could go get your bike repaired. It was a little bit of a long wait, but they did manage to repair about 50 or 60 bikes. Or you could borrow tools and do your own. Then there was a bike rodeo so that you could check out some traffic safety for the little kids, learning how to do things like stop at a stop sign in a very low risk environment so that they can practice it. If you finished the bike rodeo, you got a bike bell, so it was a little bit of incentive. Then we had this year, for the first time, one of our high school clubs came and did a tire changing clinic. So they taught about 60 people how to change a tire. And then we also had a competition. The Saratoga High School Bike Club challenged the Black Mountain Mountain Bike Club, also high schoolers, to who could change a tire the fastest. So that was pretty amusing. And then they had bike games in the street, some skills and drills type thing. Can you go around the cones? Can you make circles? Can you run over the chicken in the road? And as everybody can point out, it was a big hit with the kids.
I have the chickens at home now.
And then the big kids had to play too, so. We had some interesting bikes come this year. A recumbent, which was half a lead, or a tandem, which was half a recumbent and half a regular bike, which I'd never seen before. Scooters, of course, lots of people. The spin art bike is always a hit. The library comes out to support us. The sledgehammer event, where it's kind of like where you, old style carnival, where you hit the thing to try and get the ring the bell. This one you have to pedal really fast to see if you can light up all the lights. Ooh. Okay, I don't know what happened there. Anyway, that's the sledgehammer, and they were recording their results. Sustainability Commission came out and made buttons with all the kids made buttons. Face painting, of course, is a hit. Luckily, we always have some high school girls who know how to face paint, which I don't know where they learn, because I never learned, and mine just looks like streaks, but they do a really nice job. This was our little loop. And as you can see, it's really short, so I don't know how they got 72 miles, but they did. Sean Tognetti came out with his drone too, so we have some really cool footage from above and the little cape flapping in the wind. The smoothie booth, safe routes to school with a big crowd in front of them. I had to take a picture of that. This is OTS, the Office of Traffic Safety. They're the people who give us the grant to fund all of our education. So they come out and support us as well. This is another high school group who makes jewelry out of recycled t-shirts. And our ATP team was out getting more signatures and feedback. Another high school group was out decorating helmets with origami creatures that they had built. SV Hopper was out showing off their car, more cool bikes. And the bike ride, this is the long bike ride as it's leaving. And there were 2 stops on the long ride this year, one in Memorial Park and one in Sterling Barnhart Park. They got a water stop and then also picked up a playing card for our game. And they came back, those were the prizes you could win if you got a 70 in our playing cards. And then we moved on to the short ride in our chaperone meeting. You'll see some familiar faces in that one. And that ride, as I said, was huge. So there was lots and lots of people. We had a walrus leading us this year. And as they took off, it took a considerable amount of time for them all to get through the arch. And then they headed out on the trail to Wilson Park and the scavenger hunt. And our new bike rack. And then back to the plaza. At the plaza, we had Mayor giving her keynote speech. We also had Vice Mayor Moore was there, and Supervisor Abby Koba came. So that was nice. She had some very nice words to say about the festival. We also had our very own commissioner have some words as well. And then the raffle for the kids who finishes the scavenger hunt. So familiar faces, some more bikes. Our first aid team was here, came out to support us every year. Another picture, more pictures of Poppy, and then everybody goes home. So.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you. I would like to thank the staff, volunteers, and the professional help, as well as mainly the community members who are there to make the event successful. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
The objective for next year to go above 1,000 people.
Oh, I don't know.
Always a goal.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We're bringing back the little loop though. We just have to figure out what to do with that short ride. So it's not quite 300 people.
I think the
Hey, do you know why there was a drop on the long ride? I mean, overall, the numbers are good, right? Like, every category has increased. That one category seemed to have dropped. Do you know why? Any insights?
I do not know why it's, we don't have survey data or anything. Anecdotally, what we have noticed is that the age of kids at Bike Fest is dropping.
Okay. It's younger kids. Okay.
We speculate that, there are more and more coming in for the younger age, activities and less for the older ones, so.
some comments about changing the of having, instead of having bike bus, having more of a continuous stream of people and when people at intersections, because 300 is hard to manage. So, huge group coming like this, it's hard to manage. So.
Yes,
It may also be possible to offer something in between, because we did have on the short ride a bunch of riders that were just a little bit overwhelmed with bike ride. So maybe that's a way to give them another smaller option which is not even on roads, which is possibly just on a trail or something.
no, that's a good idea too. Yep. And somebody else suggested that it's also possibly a psychological barrier, that 10 miles sounds a lot harder than 8 miles, even though they're essentially the same if you're riding. So that's another possibility too, and kind of break off the older crowd from that short ride and send them on, try something harder.
Yeah, it's become also like more like a community event, so which means that for the younger kids, it's possible that it will have like a really shorter ones,
Right.
even
Well,
shorter than the little. Right, yeah.
Shorter than the short ride.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Well,
that's-
that was the idea behind the little loop, is
Yeah, okay.
fill that gap,
That
so.
was great because unlike the previous years, there were no balance bikes or anything in this short loop. Because previously it was like, please don't come with your balance bike, but people will still do it. But this time they would send their kids to the little loop and that kind of separated that. So that was great.
All right, any other comments?
That was a good event. Thank you for putting it
Thank you.
together.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
So with that, any public comments on this topic?
We
No?
have no speakers on Zoom, Chair.
All right, thank you. With that, we close this agenda item and we move on to the next one. This is the agenda item number 3, Vision Zero Action Plan Task Force. Matt will give a presentation and then I'll open up for discussion.
Great. Good evening, commissioners. Going to be presenting the Vision Zero Task Force. Kind of the overview of its purpose, what the action plan says the task force work plan will be, and who the representatives will be on this force according to the plan. So brief history, the Vision Zero Action Plan adopted in 2024 has the goal to eliminate ASIs by 2040. Doing this by identifying collision factors, figuring out where those locations are, and then implementing countermeasures and various programs to prevent those future incidents. So the implementable actions are categorized into these 3 buckets here. The first of which relate to Vision Zero, kind of the Vision Zero program as a whole. These are more organizational improvements or strategies that could be implemented. And the first implementable action within this group is the establishment of a task force. Then we have enhancing the street layout and management. These would be engineering changes, cultivating a positive road user behavior. So these are very focused on specific education and encouragement campaigns, and then addressing vulnerable road users, so our cyclists and pedestrians. So the Vision Zero action plan actually lays out what the task force work plan will be. It's comprised of 7 tasks, and they really focus on both inter and intra agency cooperation. The first task is to publish an annual report, collect data, just to inform future decision making. Again, reviewing data and considering adjustments for enforcement. Targeted messaging at our vulnerable roadway users, working with VTA to figure out how to potentially address problematic bus stops. And kind of enhancing what's ongoing within the city as it relates to transportation education, improving the quality of the crash data, working with our GIS team and other folks within the city to clean that, standardize it, and then make it more actionable in the future. And then finally, have some sort of system where we can collect speed data on an ongoing basis, and then have a report published annually that catalogs that information. So according to the action plan, the task force members would be comprised of city staff, pretty much everyone within transportation. So safe routes, engineering, planning, folks within the city manager's office, a group of folks from communications, which would include IT, as well as video support for encouragement education campaigns, and then GIS and data support. And the task force will really be managed by the city's transportation division and help coordinate those meetings and lead the effort. We would also have representation from the BPC, representation from the 2 school districts, VTA, reach out to them for their participation. And then importantly, we would have folks from the sheriff's office that we could work with a little more closely in refining our enforcement on the high injury network specifically. So the action plan lays out a very focused work plan for the task force. As I mentioned previously, it's kind of trying to highlight the need that there really should be better coordination within the city and with our agency partners. And then it also is supposed to prop up Vision Zero within different city departments, give it greater visibility. And the task force, in addition to producing that annual report and analyzing the vehicle speed data, will also be working to kind of move forward actions into the city work program. And then from there, possibly receive funding to then move forward and pursue those. The next steps for the task force's development would be to engage our partners. We're looking at a cadence of about every 4 months. And then once we have the group established, work together to come up with those recommendations for the CWP. And at the beginning of each city fiscal calendar, produce the annual report that I previously mentioned. And with that, take any questions.
Yeah. Open up for any questions from the commission, like clarifying questions first, and then we'll go to the public for comments and then come back for the discussion.
Clarifying question, what's GIS?
Geographical information systems, just mapping.
So, yeah, anyway, I'll come back for during the discussion. I have some questions as well, but do we have any clarifying questions on the presentation? Or there was also your staff report that was posted as part of the agenda, which has more
So
details.
the task force would not be talking about specific projects. We would more talk about kind of the outcome of those existing prior projects. Is that the way to think about?
Yeah, so I have questions on that one because, if you can you bring back the the 7 tasks? Yeah. So one of the important tasks for a Vision Zero task force should be what worked and what did not work, right? Because based on, let's say if there is a quick pill project or, if you have some high injury corridors where you're making task force or the Vision Zero action plan suggests making improvements. And, how did it work? Did it really help? You have to correlate this data saying that it really helped to reduce the injury collisions or not, right? And what mode of transport? Did it reduce the injury collisions for the motorists, bicyclists, pedestrians, and whatnot, right? So that's the key part.
So that in the report, so,
Success criteria, basically.
and I failed to mention this in the staff report, I think, but the work plan also includes a list of performance metrics that the task force would look at to measure success. So there's 5 of those, and they are reduction in traffic fatalities and severe injuries, number of citations for top 5 KSI causes, safety improvements around transit stops, public awareness levels, quality of crash and injury data.
Can you repeat what were these KPIs or?
Yes, so these KPIs are coming directly from the action plan, and they are number 1, reduction in traffic fatalities and severe injuries, number of citations for top 5 KSI causes, safety improvements around transit stops, public awareness levels, and then quality of crash and injury data.
Anything? I don't know if it's a question or a discussion point, but the number of citations is, to me, it's kind of fluctuating because is the number of citations decreasing because there is less law enforcement coverage, or is it because people are driving slower? I think
Why don't we hold that thing for the discussion part? So at least we can ask for what's the clarifying on the presentation itself or something is missing. Yeah. I see a hand raised like Muni, Commissioner Muni.
Yeah, so I have a question on the, I know we make improvements, for the overall safety. So I would like to know from the staff, if there is data, maybe, is it too soon about the Dianza and McClellan / Pacifica Drive, the junction improvement that we made, right? So that used to be a pretty difficult junction to navigate for both pedestrians, cars, and bicyclists. With the changes that we did, do we have any data that shows, a positive outcome with the changes that we did?
For Dianza, that collision data processed through NIMS, and so that data is not available, and I can't speak right now to what you're talking about for the McClellan intersection.
Okay. Because I mean, I live very close by, so I pass by that junction, at least twice a day, if not more. And I do see, I feel better about, how the people are moving around and all that, but I want data, right? Because I used to see the challenges before, right? Now I see, at least, it appears like, we made a positive impact, but I want data. So.
All right, so with that, do we have any blue cards, any public, is the public comment pre such agenda item?
No blue cards and no one in virtual.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And with that, we'll take the discussion back to the commission. So now I'll open up for a discussion. Each commissioner can, sorry?
I just have one question. So this is good point. So one question is, when I think back to the data in the past, like have you analyzed the data and see what is the problem we're trying to solve?
Yes, so
Which,
It may be I read this in the previous meetings, so.
which data are you referring to that we've collected?
Because the very first, yeah, they collected the data in the past, right?
The collision data from, that's in the vision, yes.
Have you analyzed the data and see what is the problem we're trying to solve?
So we've identified collision factors, the reasons the collisions are happening, the locations that they're happening, the high injury. So the next step in the process is, which is kind of what we're discussing here, is where to move forward and how the task force is going to evaluate locations to make the appropriate safety improvements and then evaluating whether or not those improvements are effective.
You have the key points that you want to address from the previous one.
Yeah, just to note that in the public, basically you have 3 minutes to make your comments. And then, the commission will deliberate and, produce your data during the deliberations as well. So, okay, that's how the process works. Just to clarify. Thank you for your comments. So yeah, with that, we have any, maybe I'll go around. Start with maybe remote, like Commissioner Mooney, do you want to start first, and then we'll bring it back to the room?
Yeah, no comments. I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, all right, Commissioner Joel Wolf.
Yeah, thank you. So as far as the task force members, would it be helpful to have somebody from De Anza College on this task force? Because there's 30-some thousand students there. They heavy transit usage, see bicycles, a lot of pedestrians, a lot of crossings that particularly in that general vicinity, Stelling and Stevens Creek, and so I just wondered if since we do have the school districts on here, if De Anza would be I don't know who on De Anza College would be.
that's certainly a possibility and a good one. Good suggestion. So
Mike, can you bring up that slide which shows the representatives? Yeah. I have some comments on that one, right? Yeah, I could just make that comment around at this time.
We're also looking for some input on who you would like to represent the commission.
Yeah,
this task force as well.
So one thing I did notice here is I don't see representation from the council, and typically I've seen some task forces in other cities that have the task forces. They do have council representation as well, but the council can always really get that back to whoever they want to represent. But at least we need to give an option for the council to nominate their representative if they wanted to.
yeah, so these representatives were selected based off of what was written in the Vision Zero action plan and adopted by the council.
Which is fine, but I think now that we are forming the task force, maybe at least we need to take it back to the council so that they have an opportunity to review it and make an amendment if they want it.
So the question is would the task force meetings be public meetings?
No, the task force meetings will not be public meetings, but within the action plan, it says we would host public meetings in addition to task force meetings several times a year.
Okay, and regarding the same point, I also have another point related to that is some of even though this is a question, right? How do you want to organize this meeting, right? Will it be like a Brown Act meeting, or the public will be allowed to present or be there as well? Or if it is a meeting of the task force, but you still allow the public to listen to the meetings, that's the second part of it, right? So as for example, like a city of San Jose, when they had the Vision Zero task force, I think I'll come back to that one. So they had, for example, they allowed the public to be at the meeting, but they also had a policy on how the meetings will be run. Who will be the chair of the meeting? Who will be the vice chair of the meeting? And how does the meeting? What is the meeting policy? So I think that should be there. Otherwise, it becomes an ad hoc forum, right? We need to have some written policy saying that this is how the meetings will be conducted. If it is not a Brown Act meeting, what it is. And if you're allowing the public to be present, will they be allowed to make comments, or will they be able to at least be attend and listen to the meeting? So we need to write down that policy, and that's something that we need to note that down. You can look for other cities for a model. Yeah.
Right now, for the purpose of this meeting, we were just presenting what the task force is going to look like as it's recommended in the plan. And those details would come following this meeting. Like the way that David and I have thought about this is the task force could kind of function more as a working group, and then we would have regular public meetings throughout the year where the public could then provide input to the task force, but the task force meetings themselves would be separate from those public meetings.
Okay, we can discuss that structure. But I said, you don't want this to be a private group. People, you need to have some transparency where the community members can be there, watch it. The whole idea is like the task force is working for the community. And if the success criteria is actually measured by the community members themselves, right? So
yeah, the task force really is focused on that intra-agency cooperation though, and improving how the city functions as an organization in order to advance the, principles of Vision Zero. So the task force should be thought of first as how do we get the agencies together to better align on our Vision Zero initiatives? And then how do we get all the groups within the city that may be working on, individual projects aligned to, so we'll continue to talk about it.
we'll continue to talk. One other thing I wanted to also mention is other than the bicycle pedestrian commission, because it's not just only about bicycle and pedestrians, right? This is about a multimodal force. So the other one is public safety commission is another one, because we are talking about safety here. So there's a possibility to have public safety commission to represent in this task force as well. So that's another
We
input.
can take that into consideration.
Yeah. All right. We have two things. Like one I heard from Dianza College, like where the FHDR, someone from the Dianza College district, do they want to have a representative similar to FUHSD and CUSD, right? So in addition to that, the Public Safety Commission and then the council itself. All right. So any other comments?
I just had one question. So as far as other cities have done this, right? I mean, you know of any good examples of something we could look at, after this meeting as to what's produced, how they function? And
Well, a lot of cities are kind of slowly disbanding their task force, realizing just how bureaucratic and kind of complicated they become, because you're layering on additional governance into like work that is already very challenging from a bureaucratic perspective, which is why the city of San Jose has kind of stalled theirs and is trying to revisit how they want to potentially reorganize it in the future. The city of Santa Clara is actually in the process of developing their Vision Zero plan, and they're not going to have a task force as a result of that. So, yeah.
No good examples.
It's really difficult to find a good example of a task force that actually, still stands multiple years following the plan's adoption.
Yeah,
I think I'm struggling a little bit with kind of the exact mission vis-a-vis the bike commission. We already meet once a month here. And then what exactly is the mission that's not overlapping with the role of the bike commission, ped commission? Is there a clear definition? Because to me, it feels like there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, and again, it really comes back to how can city staff kind of better coordinate on initiatives? How can we have more contact with the city manager's office on Vision Zero projects? How can we have like direct contact with individual deputies at the sheriff's office? It's really about improving communication within government.
That makes great sense. I think that's a clear mission. I can see that, yeah.
And keep in mind also that bike commission, the work that you look at could be thought of as somewhat of a subset, because Vision Zero was more overriding, looking at all traffic fatalities and serious injuries, not just bikes, not just pets.
Yep.
the transportation system as a whole.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense.
so I think this, when the city started developing the Vision Zero action plan, at that time, having a task force was kind of around. Most of the cities at that time used to have it. And in fact, we used city of San Jose as an example as well at that time. And we, in fact, invited some of their staff members to come and, present here, as well as from city of Sunnyvale. But since then, what happened is like the city of San Jose disbanded this. So what it means is they disbanded doesn't mean that they kind of they have another they gave it to the transportation department, who's actually having a committee which will kind of follow the same goals. But the problem is it could get deprioritized. We do not know how it's going to be successful. So one city where this has been successful is the city of Fremont. But they don't have a specific task force, but instead they have another committee. They call it as a mobility commission or something like that, which has representative from multiple different. The whole idea is to have an interdisciplinary task force, which can coordinate the work here, right? There are a few things that needs to happen, right? One is like, it could be the transportation department, it could be the sheriff department, it could be the different school districts which are interested in safety. As well as the council member, the elected representatives, and the community itself, right? You need to really give this message to the community because they need to be part of it in order to make sure that the systems are in place for the safety. So that was the whole idea of it. But different cities are now trying to form different bodies for managing this. You can't just write a document, put it aside, and expect that things will happen on its own. The success in Fremont, for example, is like they have the cadence of these meetings where they constantly look at, it's similar to the city of New York as well, right? So where they look at what's going on with the plan, if you have a quick build project, what is working, what is not working, and then correct it. And make sure that is the city progressing towards the goal? Like when we say that like 2035, we want to reach a certain goal, are we marching towards that goal or not? So that's the whole idea of this task force, is to kind of make sure that interdisciplinary departments are working together towards that vision. If not, then that's where the annual reports help. You go back to the council and then seek their guidance on how do you course correct it. Or if some project improvement that you have written in the action plan is not working, it's not like a hard document, you write it down, right? Later on, I've seen cities where they come and amend it. Or they might come up on an update of the action plan, which will satisfy what works for our city. Those are the kind of things that you need. It's a continuous process. It's not like one time document.
Would there be any possibility or would it be feasible to see, if the task force is supposed to meet 4 times a year, would it make sense to essentially designate every one meeting a quarter of the EPAC, have a topic on those issues and invite the representatives that are here for that specific session? Like today we have like 4 agenda items. One agenda item every quarter is the task force, essentially, but we invite those additional folks here and make it as part of the regular meeting that's in place already.
So this
I don't know
is
if this makes sense or not, but it seems like could be a possible route forward.
I like that idea because it reduces the overhead, because I can imagine it takes a lot of staff time if we have to organize all these meetings with a lot of stakeholders, just calendaring that, putting myself in your shoes, and that takes a lot of time. And then to Chair Ganga's point, in terms of running the meetings, etc., we're creating something from scratch as opposed to having these meetings here that we run already and that are, I think, also.
It does formalize the meeting, however, in that we have to adhere to certain rules as a bike commission in terms of 3 minutes for public speaking and things of that nature. So it would discourage sort of the open forum working group dynamic that we'd like to see from the task force. That said, Matt and I can give it some thought, but I see that as a potential downside too.
There's no way to make exceptions for that topic. If the agenda has like 5 topics, there's one topic is the task force.
Well, we just have to be treated as an agenda item, as any other agenda item and follow the same rules.
Okay, yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, it could certainly be on the agenda,
Yeah.
but just you wouldn't be able to have an open discussion
I understand.
like you would want to have it a more casual working group.
So the whole idea of where this, what works, I mean, this is what we should do, like what is working for successful cities that are adopting Vision Zero and what has not worked. Like, for example, if task force model has not worked, obviously, in example is city of San Jose, right? That's the reason why they're trying to dismantle it, right? So I think we might have to discuss that, and this is what is written in our action plan, right? To form a task force, if we believe that, this is not going to work for our city, then in that case, and if you want to come up with a different governance to make Vision Zero a plan, then we need to go back to the council and request for an amendment. Right? I mean, or we can say that this is the proposal and this is what is written in the action plan, this is our proposal going forward, go back and get their concurrence, right? So approval, so that because you need to, there's a resources needs to be assigned for different departments, their time allocated for working on this, and they need to be producing this annual report and things like that, right? So, yeah, one thing I would say, like if you go back to the previous, regarding the composition, I see an open, some kind of questioning the representatives. It's okay. Mostly what I'm hearing is questioning the meeting process, right? How the working group should function or a task force should function. And that's basically a question here. Should we follow this process as the task force members, like what we have written down here, and they conduct the meeting and then come back and report to us? So one of the challenges with making it part of the bicycle commission is then it becomes a public forum, as you said, right, where you are mired in the bureaucracy of how to conduct the meeting as opposed to making a working group meeting to advance the work that's ahead are chartered in, which has been documented in the action plan. So that's the challenge. If you're going and analyzing certain 3 or 4 projects, you're taking it and saying that what works, what did not work, and you want to document it and take it back to the council or come to the commission here, that's a different story, right? But if you're not necessarily doing that, that's where actually the city, like which failed in the task force model is it was a bureaucratic process. As opposed to really making progress, they were just mired in the bureaucratic process.
You would think that since not many other cities have done this, that you would start out and form the task force as you propose, and then if things aren't working, then you modify the function, the task force, how it operates. I mean, I just don't, I don't see sitting here how I could comment on the function of a task force like this. And since we don't have many examples, if any, as to how they function, then we certainly want the task force to be successful and to be able to implement a successful Vision Zero policy. But I think sitting here, it's hard to say exactly. I mean, I couldn't critique your analysis very much until I would get into you got to get into the weeds a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's another point. Like we could start with what's already documented as opposed to changing it, but you can always write a policy on how the task force will function. So if you want it to be less bureaucratic, it's up to us to write down the policy and how the meeting should be conducted, what's the outcome of the meeting, and so on. And give an update to the council, and then we'll move forward with it and make adjustments. The one thing is, like, all the representatives there, they need to spend enough time to do their homework and come to the working group meeting to make progress. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and all these representatives should have a vested interest in, the success of Vision Zero. So I think they'll be motivated to come prepared and participate in a meaningful way.
One other representative that's missing is the fire department.
Yeah, David and I went back on that. kind of, I mean, really, we want to improve coordination with the sheriff. That's our priority in terms of our emergency services partners. And candidly, we really haven't heard much from the fire department as it relates to these kind of collisions and input in the past. And it's really the sheriff that has been our primary point of contact. So improving that relationship and making sure that they are on the same page as us, both with respect to expectations and, you know, improving the quality of our data collection was a priority for us.
And coming back to the, you know, the what worked and what did not work, you have certain KPIs or metrics. I think it will be good to highlight that as one of the goals and the high level goals. And then you can have some bullets which you can point back to the thing. But that should be the primary reason why these task force, I know, right?
Yeah, and it's in the work plan. So the work plan is scoped within the Vision Zero action plan. It just wasn't listed on the slide. The slide was just showing the 7 tasks that the work plan describes for the task force.
Okay. So make sure that that's there in the policy document.
Yeah.
Any other?
Yeah, can you remind us the goals? So you mentioned the number of fatalities and injuries, the number of citations. What were
Can you go back to the
3 remaining ones?
Yeah. Oh, it's only showing, well, I'm going to show the Vision Zero plan. So, performance metrics as stated in the plan, reduction in traffic fatalities and severe injuries, number of citations for top 5 KSI causes, safety improvements around transit stops, public awareness levels, quality of crash and injury data, reporting with a frequency of annually to the city council and public. And during that annual review, there will be an assessment of the effectiveness and recommendations for adjusting what has been done.
As I said, the citation is interesting. The sheriff's not showing up. There is no citation, so you can pat yourself in the back and say, we're doing great. But I think the overarching goal is really the KSI number in the title. It's literally what it's about. So
I think I agree with you. We'd have to somehow convert that into a rate in terms of like citations per hours spent enforcing or something like that.
Yeah.
So otherwise it doesn't make as much sense.
So what are the next steps from here?
The next steps are to reach out to those partners, convene the task force, make sure that they agree that they were willing to commit the time to participate meaningfully, and then have discussions about which of those 7 items should be moved forward or focused on really, and then next year begin the preparation of the annual plan, which will be or the annual report, which will be our first, and use that for benchmarking.
And then you're suggesting, the proposal here is like every 4 months, which is.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think, as I mentioned, right, there are some questions, not questions, like suggestions about composition of who the representatives should be. That's one thing. The second thing that came up is like the meeting governance of the policy, right? Who will be the chair, vice chair? If they're not there, then who will represent? So we have a very good way of running the meetings, right? So I think that's some meeting structure and the policy, the governance should be written down. Even if it is like a 1 or 2 page document, you need to be there. So that way that becomes a guiding principle for running the meetings. So that's the suggestion. And other than that, also the council representation, if you want, or if you're giving an update to the council, then that could be an opportunity to seek their representation if they want it.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have to, that's fine. Any other questions? I think we've been talking in the room, like Commissioner Madhipatra, do you have any comments?
No, I'm good. Yeah. Thanks for asking, Chair Ganga.
Any other comments in the room? No? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Matt. This was excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
So with that, we close the agenda item number 3 and move on to the item number 4, which is new business. This is the Tory Avenue and Town Center Lane pedestrian crossing. In general, it's basically the Tory Avenue and Town Center Lane where we have the library and the city center, and the staff will be discussing the issues or concerns related to the safety of that Tory Avenue in general. And then any improvements that we need to bring forward to improve the safety of that location. David, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Not sure why it's.
Do this. And then make center.
So sure. Apologize. Getting where is that?
Maybe
Side.
I'll share it from my side.
Okay. Disconnect these two.
Yeah, disconnect this.
So I'll introduce the again while Shanta's setting up the presentation. So the purpose tonight of the item is to give an overview of the intersection, make a note of some of the improvements that we've done over the years, and then get feedback from the commission on suggestions, thoughts, concerns that you have about the intersection, things that we can look at in the future, data that you may want us to collect in order to assist us making some decisions about any improvements that may be appropriate. So here is the intersection, and you are familiar, but it's a T intersection right in front of the library and City Hall, Torrey Avenue, the through street, and then Town Center Lane forming the stem of the T. It's a very heavily used intersection by vehicles and by pedestrians that are crossing back and forth between Town Center Lane and the City Hall Plaza. There is not a striped crosswalk at this location, which I think may be the cause of some of the challenges that have been identified out there. There is a kind of a brick textured pavement treatment, which acts as somewhat of a visual for pedestrians that are crossing, but nothing striped. The next slide. So these are the treatments that we currently have out there to try to enhance safety for pedestrians that are crossing, for everybody using the intersection, basically. So although we don't have striped crosswalk, we do have pedestrian crossing signs, warning signs, including the diagonal yellow sign there and the yield to pedestrian floppy sign, which is along the center line of Torrey Avenue, approach the intersection. We have yield markings, the sharp teeth yield markings on approach the intersection. We have speed limit signs and no U-turn signs on Torrey. Pavement markings, including pedestrian symbol there you see on the top right on approaching the street, approaching Town Center Lane from both directions, as well as the Sharrows cyclists on Torrey. So overall, there's a lot of guidance for vehicles on Torrey Avenue as they approach that intersection, that it's a heavily used area, especially by pedestrians. Next slide. So in terms of next steps, things that staff could do to assist the commission themselves in determining whether any improvements are necessary are to conduct counts, which would include daily vehicle counts along Torrey Avenue and Town Center Lane, doing pedestrian and bicycle counts at the intersection, collecting speed data along Torrey, which could be pneumatic tube speed data or a radar gun. The tube data would enable us to get like 24-hour or 72-hour data. The radar would be more spot checking at certain key times of the day, an hour or two of data. Just an overall review of existing conditions to see if there's any deficiencies or safety concerns, and then of course the collision analysis to see if there have been any collisions in the past at this location, and with particular interest to pedestrian related collisions. So we would want to do some or all of these in order to determine whether any improvements are necessary. We have done this we have done studies in the past. It's been several years, 5 to 10 years probably, since we've collected data out there. So it would be probably prudent to do new studies to see what the situation is out there now. So with that, that's all I had. Just interested to hear your concerns and your suggestions for future work.
Any clarifying questions on David's presentation? So if none, do we have any public comments? Either on virtual or in the room?
We have no public comments in person and none on Zoom, Chair.
All right, thank you. Then we'll bring back the discussion back to the commission for discussion. I see a hand raised by Muni, Commissioner Muni.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Ganga. So could you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So David, thank you for bringing this to the commission, and I really appreciate it, because this is one intersection that keeps me awake at night, right, whenever I think about it. And I also remember some public comments, about 3-4 months ago, some gentleman, I don't remember his name, he came and made a passionate plea about, needing to do something here. I think, I echo with, every comments and statements that he made, right? So if you go back to the slide where you were showing that the aerial view of that junction, if you can go to that slide. So, so here, the biggest issue, that keeps me awake at night is, if you look at, on the bottom left corner, right, you see that, the car parking markings that you have, where cars can park, right? The last one, where it's, I think, like a 20-minute park or 2 hours park or whatever, right? So where you have the pointer, right? So that spot, this is the busiest street where, every parking spot is, occupied all the time, because, our library is very busy, right? So what I've seen is, there are a lot of young kids that just, come on roller blades or, skateboards. They just hit the road at a very high speed, right? They're coming from, the library or where the bicycles, or the bicycle stand and stuff like that. They come zipping and hit the road, right? And because of, the car parked there, they have no idea, what car traffic is coming, right? And it will be a total surprise for the car that's, coming in that direction, towards, let's say, Rodriguez, right? That driver would be totally surprised with this, the kid that's coming on a roller or, or a skateboard, and it's a possibility for, a major, bad thing to happen, right? I would hate to see that happen, because these are young kids, right? So all this signage and everything is great, but it's hard to kind of, prevent people from doing, what they do, right? So our job is, how do we make it, safe for everybody, right? That's what we are focused on. So these signs are all, won't prevent people from, speeding through that street, right? And we cannot stop kids, from, being on roller blades and skateboards and, hitting the road. We need to do something in this junction where, that really slows down the cars. The cars have to slow down where they have an opportunity to stop if they see a kid, coming onto the road full speed, right? From the library, the kid comes and hits the street, right? And I've seen that many because I spend good amount of time, in and around library, and I see this happening all the time. And so my thinking is, we need to do something like, the elevated pedestrian cross where it also acts as a speed bump, right? Plus, the pedestrian cross, quite visible pedestrian cross. Plus, it acts as a speed bump, or do a speed bump before that, right? Do something where the car is slowed down to be in a position to stop when they see the kid. That's my ask.
Thank you, Commissioner Mani. With that, let's move on to Commissioner Joe.
So I use this intersection a lot and frequently cross on foot. And I would agree with the prior statements. There's a couple things, those at least the one car that's parked at the lower left-hand corner here, that car reduces visibility and makes it difficult for drivers to see, maybe two cars. But I've learned my lesson. I peek out around the corner before I cross if I'm going in the westward direction, crossing toward Town Center Lane. So because sometimes somebody's driving fairly fast and you have to, they don't see you. And it's because of this car that's parked here. And maybe you have to remove two cars, but I would look into that. And then I would look at the nighttime lighting. I don't know what that's like there. Particularly at night, sometimes people drive relatively fast and you come out and it's, I notice that's when I'm particularly cautious because if you've got, I'm more cautious than young kids, and I see there's a lot of kids in this area. So I would be all in favor of looking into reducing the speed in this particular area because of just the volume of the traffic and the number of pedestrians and number of young pedestrians and young cyclists. I would really like to see something done here. And so that's, I think that's basically it. If we can bring the speeds down, increase the visibility, especially make sure it's good at night. And looking at those one or two cars there that block visibility, I think that's all I have to say on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Joe. So Commissioner Gahar,
I think there's one more thing that I noticed a few times before, especially if you're coming from the town center lane side and cross over to the library or the city hall as a pedestrian. This kind of bulb is kind of flowing right with the kind of lane, the traffic lane, and you feel kind of safe in the bulb out, but it's kind of a flowing. It's not clear when the lane starts. So I think maybe just some clear separation where actually the car lane is versus the bulb, because the bulb out actually just happened to me Monday this week when I'm walking from Town Center Lane. It was raining like really badly, and I did not quite know when the lane was starting and the cars were coming there. So I think maybe some clearer separation between the car traffic lane and this bulb out may also help. A visual may help there. In general, however, I feel there's already so many signs in this area as a driver, as a vehicle driver. There's already like so many signs, so I don't think we should necessarily over index on that. But that's a separation I think would help for those folks coming from the town center lane.
So, Commissioner Eshelbeck, which bulb out are you referring to? I'm sorry.
So if you come from town center lane,
Uh-huh.
come in this area first, it's like not car lane, right? This is like an open area that In the,
From going from the,
yeah, coming out this area, this,
and making right turn.
Yeah,
so this area here.
Okay.
It feels safe, right? And this safe, right?
right.
But then there's no clear kind of where does the car lane actually start?
Oh, right, okay,
So
I see.
make like a really strong, clear lane here or
Okay.
line or some clear separation.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Isham. So I will insert myself and come back. One of the things I would say is like there are two intersections in, this is not the only one, right? In Torrey Avenue, you have issues in this area all the way down to the Rodriguez and Torrey Avenue intersection. There's a stop sign there as well. And I have personally, I visited that, there was an incident a few months ago, and I visited there a few minutes after that incident that happened. So it was evening time, the light was kind of going down, and when the sheriff's department was questioning the driver as well as the person who got injured, both were saying that, I don't know how it happened, I did not see the driver, or I did not see the vehicle. And the driver and the vehicle said that I did not see this person crossing. And this person obviously has used the library and then is trying to, cross the road, that junction, right? And you can see that a lot of people are walking in order to get to the city center or to the library in that area. So I think when we are considering the safety, consider the safety of the Torrey Avenue in general, that including that intersection. And the other important point is actually before this T junction, there is also people are trying to take a left into the parking lot of the library, behind the library. And there is a walkway, pedestrian walkway on Torrey Avenue, where people are crossing from the library field and then towards the library. And that area, you can see the cars are taking, after this intersection, they come and take a left, getting into the library. And similarly, the people are coming from the right and they're trying to get into the library, and they don't see, it's not very clear, or I don't know how it comes, especially in the evening time. I've seen where the cars were about to run over. I use that intersection a lot. I pretty much almost every day I try to walk in that area neighborhood. And so you can see that it's kind of a problem waiting to happen kind of in that intersection. And some of the cars, like
Conflicts between the pedestrians walking across the driveway and cars turning in.
cars turning in and out, both the cars trying to come out and take a left turn or right turn, and that from the library, as well as the cars on the main road on both directions trying to get into the library, and they don't necessarily see the pedestrians crossing there. And there's also a parking spaces just very close to it as well. Possibly that could be blocking the vision if we are having a larger truck or something, larger SUV that's parked around there. So that's I would consider, I want the city to consider both that junction as well as this one, plus the third one is the Rodriguez and the Torrey, all three together, and see how we can improve the safety around the people walking in and out of the library. The other thing is like this, I've noticed there's a drop-off point, right, where the book drop. I think that's another challenge. Already this is a challenging T junction, and then you're having this book drop-off right there. And we could see, I don't know, there was a good intention in bringing that one, but I don't think it's necessarily helping. People can always go back parking lot, and there is a book drop off on that zone, and they could there's a 5-minute parking, 3 or 4 spots there, and they could just drop off there. It's much safer than trying to have this quick drop off on the road.
I would add that I see people do U-turns there all the time to get into the book drop off in front. All the time.
That's not allowed, but yeah, you're right.
I know.
No,
Yeah. In addition, I would like to say, how do you maintain lighting? Like, especially, one is in the daytime where things are, very clear, and whereas in the nighttime or closer to the nighttime where things are, and where people are really using a lot, like in the evening, right? When we are dropping off and picking up the kids. And that's where the issue is. And I think if we can really improve the lighting in that area, that will be helpful. And also reducing the speed, like us, Commissioner Muni was suggesting, right? So that's something that we need to think through. How do you have visual, bulb boards or ways to really reduce the speed on this, and also take some of the parking spots closer to those junctions. What people do is they just come out of the library and they want to go to the opposite side park. That's where they have parked the car. They just cross the road. There's no designated place to cross the road, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Okay, so with that, Commissioner, you want to go to this? Commissioner Madhipatla?
Yeah,
I see
so So I agree with Commissioner Ganga's comments that we need to look at this entire street end to end and holistically fix the issues, because there are a lot of issues. This is I see this as the busiest most precious street that we have, because there are a lot of kids and people walking around and trying to do their stuff, and we need to improve the safety holistically from the Pacifica end all the way up to the Rodriguez end, right? So I agree with Commissioner Ganga's comments that we need to kind of look at beyond this, just this particular spot.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Madhipatla.
So from my side, I think I agree with pretty much all the comments that were made. I think we want here this intersection to be safe for everyone. It's not the case today. I work in the building across the streets between Torre and Rodriguez, so I get firsthand every day the craziness of cars like zooming here. I think the idea at conception to have this kind of plaza where pedestrians could stroll around and give a feeling of pedestrians being everywhere, I think it doesn't work at all, because I think it creates confusion more than anything. Pedestrians believe that they can cross over, and the car drivers think that they can pass through. So I think it was meant well, but the reality is that it confuses everybody, and the perception of everyone of who was and everything. And I think also that the markings on street don't change that effect of confusion. I would add that, to your point, Chair Ganga, the drop off with the books adds to that confusion, because you have one more element that confuses people as to, okay, where is it that I'm supposed to go? And so, I think also that in terms of speed, and that's been said already, 25 miles per hour, and it's going to be very interesting to see the count of pedestrians, because I think 25 miles per hour is way too fast for this, and the markings don't change anything. If people drive at 25, I think you will have a recipe for disaster here. I would add also 25 miles per hour during the day is too fast, but at night it's even compounded and it's even worse in bad conditions. I would definitely agree with Commissioner Escherbeck on the sideways. Again, great idea of having this kind of plaza where people can walk, but when you are a car driver as well, it's very confusing as to where you're supposed to drive or not. So I think this intersection has to be changed and be much clearer infrastructure wise for all the parties, like being car drivers, being pedestrians, for everyone to know this is what you're supposed to do, and be more give them a strong what they're supposed to do. Prescriptive as well. More prescriptive. I know we don't want to go into solutioning, but definitely if we're looking at reducing speed, I think having a race table and flashlights and tell the pedestrians here is where you're supposed to go to cross the street, I think would be one idea that I think would make sense here. I would slightly disagree with the comments about the holistic point of view with the various intersections. I think the intersection between Torre and Rodriguez, even though they are all the same street, they don't have the same challenge, because here you have really specifically like kind of painting on the ground, or the nature of the intersection is very different from the other two. And I agree that you have issues in each of these intersections, But I think this one presents really a challenge, and we heard from the public comments as well that they were limited to that very intersection. So if I were to prioritize, I would really focus on this one because this is where I think the most of the danger comes. I think there's, again, by all means, let's look also at the other two. But if I were to prioritize, I would really go with this one.
Yeah, so, yeah, yes, Commissioner.
Just like add one thing that's, this is like one area that, this specific area where I think I would like to see very aggressive moves in reducing speed limits, the speed of cars to a lower speed limit. And because I don't think signage helps. I mean, I just look at the number of U-turns, and we're just talking about that. Everybody, they ignore the signs. And some drivers are very good. I mean, they're very stopping when you're, but there are a significant number of drivers that will flow through. I mean, they're not doing 25, they might be 30, 35 miles an hour, which I think is way too fast.
Yeah, and to go back to Commissioner Eschenbeck's point, I think car drivers do a U-turn because they can. Because this intersection is broad enough that you can actually put it up. And so, yes, if I think it definitely needs a redesign just to make sure that both pedestrians, car drivers have a descriptive solution as to what is it that they're supposed to do, without even thinking about it, but like having an infrastructure that allows them to go to make it safe for everyone.
Is the drop-off place kind of because of convenience or because, again, I think that's also part of the confusion that was already talked about. Why wouldn't this just be moved somewhere else?
Yeah, it was put there to eliminate the congestion that occurs in the parking lot near the book drop.
It's just in this T.
So it makes it easier. So people that are driving down Torrey anyway, instead of having to pull into the parking lot, go around the parking lot, back out, they can just slide in there, drop the book in.
Are there utilization numbers on that?
I imagine the library may have information on the number of books that are deposited there. I don't have any.
It'd be interesting to know that if it's actually used, because if not,
That clearly adds to the confusion.
yes.
Maybe as part of your next steps, you could, inquire them and get the information as well, yeah. All right, so I think we have good discussion on this topic. So I mean, David, if you want, you could summarize it, but I would suggest, say that, look at holistically from Pacifica to Rodriguez. The solution for different locations there would be different. That's fine. And for now, we can just take it as one project which improve the safety of commuting around in and around the city center and library.
I just wanted to add, like, at this corner, the east corner, I agree that eliminating a parking spot of one would increase the visibility. That's what me and David were discussing last couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
So that's fine. So I think you heard enough, and you can bring back with solution, and then we can discuss.
Is that,
Yeah, I'd like to do some,
Our data analysis.
yeah, ordinarily this commission is big on data. I didn't hear a lot. We saw this one. Well, I heard a lot about speeding, so I would like to collect some data and.
I think you had it in the next steps.
Yeah, see what the magnitude of the speeding is. Do some pedestrian counts and maybe if there's a way, I think we can even with the cameras that like we had at Big Oak Creek Trail on Rodriguez when they pick it up with pedestrians. Maybe we can get a sense on where they're crossing, not just how many, but are they using kind of the crosswalk, are they jaywalking?
you can do a heat map of pedestrians?
Yeah, something like that.
Super helpful.
So we can get a good idea, and then of course, look at collisions and see if what the magnitude of the problem is there, and then based upon what we find, develop some measures that bring it back for
Just
discussion.
coming back to the parking at the intersection, I think a new law has been passed
The daylight.
Yeah, daylight, would that be part of it anyways?
You know, can you pull that up again? I think it probably would. Because it's within 20 feet of a, it's a little weird because well, I guess it is an actual crossing because we've got the ADA ramp there. So that sort of defines the crosswalk legally. So if that's within 20 feet, which it looks like it may be, then I believe that would fall under this. So that's a good point.
Okay, so great.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. With that, we close that agenda item number 4 and move on to agenda item number 5. This is the staff and staff updated commissioner activity report.
Yeah, I do not have a report this morning, Chair.
You do not have it. Okay. I have a request. Maybe I will let Vice Chair Eshelberg talk about this one because you brought this point up and we would like to discuss this right now.
Sure, happy to. So we all have received an email earlier this month. Actually, it was on October 1, where we were asked specifically to contribute some topics for the upcoming Community Service Awards event on October 29. I just happened to print this out. And the city asked us specifically to provide answers to 2 short questions, which I think that whatever we answer here is going to be used as part of the Community Service Awards on October 29, which I think is the 70-year anniversary celebration for Cupertino. And for the Bicycle Pedestrian Commission, the questions are, what's your favorite thing about Cupertino? And the second question is, what's your favorite place in Cupertino to walk, run, or bike to? Those are the 2 questions, and they were asking us to respond by Wednesday, October 15, which is today. So technically, if we come up with the 2 answers to those questions, I think this will be used as part of the celebration. We can submit this later tonight and we'll still be on time.
Do we answer that collectively as a commission?
I believe that's my understanding, because it is essentially is addressed to all of us there. And then it asks essentially one input for the commission. So
I think for the second question, Chair Ganga is kind of, we're very close. I think the Regna Creek Trail is without a doubt the place where that's very convenient and safe to walk. So I think
it's about convenience and safety. I think it's
very simple to get.
I mean, I personally, I'm not living in that side of the city, so I'm not really using it as much, but I value in Cupertino the close proximity to the foothills. There's a lot of biking, walking capabilities. It's walking, running, and biking too, and so if you ask me, I would probably have answered around the close proximity to foothills and the ability to use all the trails from Fremont Alder to whatever.
Well, you can put that as an answer to the first question. And what do you like about Cupertino? The proximity to the trails where you can walk and it.
Yeah.
I'll say if you ask me personally, what's your favorite place? I would say the favorite place is to walk to the library. City center, that area is really vibrant, and I see people from all across the city come over there. So that's my favorite. Whichever more they really used to come there, right? So. And what's
any other opinions?
Any other opinions on that? I see Commissioner Madhipatla.
Yeah, so I would give 2 places. If you have to pick them in the order, I'll go in the priority order. The number 1 place is the Blackberry Farm, right? And that trail to walk, right? That is like golden, right? So and in terms of the safety and and enjoy the nature, right? That's a hidden gem. And that's my favorite spot. And also, when I bring my friends from somewhere else, like other cities and all that, and try to host them in that place, like they get shocked. Like, they're like, wow, we didn't even know such a wonderful place existed right in the middle of your city, right? So that's such an amazing place, right? And I think, it's not appreciated nearly that well, right? So that's a hidden gem. And the second one is, what Ilango Ganga talked about, in and around the library, that area is, very nice. Like, if you want to walk around and the trees and everything, right? It's such a great, provides such a nice vibe to be, walking around in and around in a library, right? So those are the two places.
Any other?
Well, I was gonna, I forgot all about these questions, so, but originally I thought, oh, Regnar Creek Trail, that's for my favorite place, and, I agree with, regarding the proximity to the foothills, which is, that's the great part about living in Cupertino, you can recreational cycling is very good.
Outdoor, yeah.
If you wanna do a little bit of hill climbing, so it's like, that's. I mean, though I like the library answers good too, I mean, so we have to come up with one answer as a commission.
I think it's two I mean, I don't think it's very hard to enforce rules. We have probably some freedom here as well, but it is technically two questions.
It's two questions. One question is, what's your favorite thing
about
Cupertino?
And it may not even be.
It's not a place, basically. What's the favorite thing, right? So the second one is, what's your favorite place? These are two different questions. Because what's the favorite place to walk to? It's not about favorite trail or favorite intersection, right? So
Maybe that's a good answer for the library. For the second one is maybe a good. What's your favorite place in Cupertino to walk, run, or bike to? That's the library.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Sounds like there is. All of us brought this up somehow.
So for the first one,
what's
that will be the
favorite thing to do?
proximity to trails in general. The second one would be the library as an answer.
Yep. I mean, I would still love to get somehow the foothills into, because I mean, that's a unique feature. I mean, if you look at Sunnyvale or none of them has this. I mean, this is a very unique, special place.
Can you combine that and the Blackberry farm there? It's kind of close in, where you have something to some nature.
Maybe you just close proximity to nature, including foothills.
Blackberry farm.
Yeah.
And then the favorite one would be next to the library.
I like that.
Yeah. So if everybody is comfortable with that, I'm happy to take the liberty to write it down.
Sure.
Thank you.
Verbatim here, roughly, but I think I got the spirit of, and I will send it on to.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for volunteering.
So we were with library as second one, and the nature
Proximity to trails,
proximity.
including
The Blackberry farm.
Yeah, I will send this off, and I will not copy you to avoid any kind of violations of.
If you want to send it to me, Gerhard, and then I
Okay.
can blind copy it out to the
Yeah.
commission, so
Yeah.
we don't get into any.
Yeah. I was just planning to respond to that person and copy you. That was my.
Okay, so yeah, so why don't you just do that, and then
Because,
I'll
um,
send it, and
And then you can copy that
Copy
to
it.
the person. If everybody's comfortable with that, I'll take care of this tonight.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else? Any other update? Yes.
I do have an update from VTA, so I followed up regarding the Lawrence Mealy Park with VTA staff, and they mentioned that they would not be able to put that on the STIP, but that they were considering it for Measure B funding. And so the recommendation from Ben Agnage, what, you know who I mean? Ben.
Yeah.
Was to reach out to him on your side to see what could be done there in terms of funding. So.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you for that update. And when it comes to funding, I have a question. Like, because of all the federal shutdown or federal funding cuts, do you see that anything that's supposed to come to the city is?
I can only speak of transportation related.
Yeah, okay, transportation is what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are none of the grants that we have currently for transportation, my knowledge, are at risk of being rescinded, clawed back as a result of what's happening at the federal level.
Okay.
If that changes, I'll certainly let you and the council and that information known, but so far nothing.
And I think that that's very important because I've seen some slides around showing the investment in terms of bicycle pedestrian infrastructure, and the vast majority go to grants. Like the city of Cupertino itself is not spending that much money.
The most of the grants that we receive are state and local regional grants.
None from federal.
Not as many come through the federal. That's somewhat intentional on our part, have nothing to do with what's happening now, but federal grants are just generally very time consuming. Lots of red tape and it's just, there are a lot of work for not always a lot of bang. So we tend to concentrate more on the regional and state funding, which are generally easier. The Safe Streets for All grant, which was the Bollinger Road, that was the one that potentially I could see being affected by what's happening at the federal level, but the council defunded that project, and we've already told the Federal Highway Administration that we're no longer interested in moving forward with that grant. So that one's off the table.
Okay, sounds good. Any other? Yes,
I think we all know a few weeks ago, we had in the city a pretty serious pedestrian accident on Stevens Creek Boulevard. That is in the Blackberry kind of farm area. While this by itself is really bad news, I wanted to acknowledge the city and especially the staff, David, team, and everybody who really jumped on this very quickly and took a whole bunch of measures to improve the situation, from speed signs to pedestrian crossing flags to cutting the trees to make the signs visible. A number of measures, and I understand there's even more to come. So I wanted to really commend that and appreciate it for the quick and very quick action that the city took.
thank you, Vaishya.
One thing.
Yes, please go ahead, Commissioner.
So the bike racks, they're installed, we looked at those, the 6 rotary bike racks, they're all installed. I did help out on 4 of the 6, and unfortunately, the one at the library was vandalized and apparently pulled out with like a vehicle. Something, they pulled the foundations right out of the ground.
Wow, okay.
So just recent, I think it was just recently. So, but I think that one would be reinstalled, but I just wanted, since we have worked on it as a commission, we've looked at the designs and provided comment on the designs. They are installed, so it's a total of 6. So
Do we know anything about the vandalization? No?
Only that happened, but we don't have any information on who or why or how. But
Are the racks city property already?
the racks have not been formally accepted by the city.
Okay. So they're still property of the Rotary, and so the Rotary would have to go to the police to, because that's what it's about, right? It's
Yeah, I don't know who would be responsible for filing a police report. I mean, I'm not even sure what can be done. I mean, we have no video. Or anything.
Is there any surveillance cameras, something around that area? Sure. Okay. Thank you for that, and yeah, with that, we close that staff and commission report, agenda item number 5, and with that, we move on to the future agenda setting. Prashant, can you please bring that? list of the agenda items, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like next month, we have a Cupertino active transportation plan that's, is next phase, or is it, are we still on schedule for November or?
Probably not.
So will that be December?
Yeah, we can, let's leave it open in terms of,
What the date, okay,
we will come back. It may be a joint BPC Planning Commission meeting
Mhm.
when we next bring it back to the commissions, and we're not planning on coming back to
Okay.
any commission until after we go to council. Because we haven't gone to council yet with the ATP.
did you not present the suggestions of after last time when the BPC? After the BPC discussion, there was a planning commission
Right.
discussion, and after that, it's supposed to go to the council.
Right.
Yeah.
And that council date has been getting pushed,
Okay,
and so it hasn't happened.
okay,
We're currently anticipating November to take it to
sounds
council.
good, okay.
So we would be coming back to the commissions sometime following. Yeah, probably in the beginning. Most likely.
Maybe for now, we can remove the date in there and.
Yeah, let's not.
Can leave, yeah. Okay, and discuss how the city can gather and use the infrastructure data. I think this is something that we have been asking for it, but let's. Maybe at some point when, David, you're ready, then we can, bring it, to the commission.
You want me to remove maybe in September, I said, delete the,
Yeah, just leave.
Yeah, I can remove the September, but I don't know whenever the staff is ready, then we can discuss that. And similarly, Vision Zero next steps, now we just had the discussion, so keep it as an open topic, so whenever the task force is formed or the action items we discussed today comes back, then we can bring it back. Regarding grants, any update on that? No, I think, okay. Studies.
The stuff review can be removed. It's to be stuff review in September.
So pedestrian, I see that they examine pedestrian walkways for safety. Is there any pedestrian, projects that you want to bring forward, David? That's.
Not specifically, no. I mean, there's ongoing work with Cupertino, which is, I don't know if it's a pedestrian project, but it's the bike ped project. Gerhard mentioned the improvements at Lab, which is a pedestrian project. Other than that, I'm not looking at any specific pedestrian projects.
Okay,
Quarry Town Center, which we just talked about.
correct, okay.
Would it be useful for the commission to get an update on the Tanyang, what the
That's already there.
timeline, what the problems are, what's happening?
Yeah, that would be probably more of a staff update item than actual full agenda item, just because there isn't a lot to discuss on that. Not what's happened lately, it's been at Valley Waters. Bugs. But I can provide a staff update. So get the information.
And on the item like the phase 2B, right, the bus stop, I think it was decided to remove
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, we can take that out.
And you may want to give an update saying that, at least the commission is aware of it, right? Why it was removed and
For the bus stop?
bus stop, yeah.
Yeah, so staff removed. It was decided to take the floating bus stop out of the phase 2B project because of basically in discussions with VTA. Initially, when we had the conversations with them 5-6 years ago, they were very much supportive of installing these floating bus stops because of advantages to bus operations as well as safety advantages for bicyclists. Since that time, I won't say they backed off, but, you know, taking a closer look at the operation of the floating bus stops, and they're really more appropriate than others, and there are other concerns that have come up related to those, and so they're just a little bit more discriminating where these bus stops are an improvement. And the locations that we had identified with VTA to install initially, which were in front of Target 2B project and in front of the Luxair for the 2A project, turned out to not be ideal locations to have the floating stops. And so those were removed from our Stevens Revolver project.
I spoke to PTA staff about it. They mentioned that it's not the idea of the floating bus stops as a whole that's not the right one. It's just for the specific locations. Like there's gonna be some floating buses stations like this, like in Santa Clara County for sure. It's just for Stevens Creek for these specific locations. It's not the right. It's not appropriate or the best solution.
Okay, sounds good. I can remove that item there, and then education, that's fine. In visual areas, at least I want to bring up one item. This is regarding the automated vehicles or sidewalk delivery vehicles, like robotic vehicles, where some of the cities are starting to look into that. I don't know what should be the policy.
Sidewalk delivery vehicles.
Yeah, this is like
Robots. Robots.
Wait, I'm sorry.
well. Okay, these are like, you know, for example, like you have food delivery or
Domino's Pizza
no,
robots.
yeah, and similarly
Robots that go down the
robots.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, that's happening already. Yeah.
It's already happening.
Okay.
And then some of the cities are there doing trials and things like that. So it might come to, it's still, I don't think that anyone has requested Cupertino.
They have not, yeah.
Okay, so anticipating that, like in future, maybe if that comes up, then city might have to develop policy. I would say like it will be a generic thing, not just only for the sidewalk or robotic vehicles. This could be Amazon delivering it or food delivery or DoorDash delivery and things like that.
Okay.
And the approach they're taking is either using the bicycle lanes or these sidewalk pedestrian lanes for this kind of purpose. And
Sidewalk robotic vehicles? Okay.
I mean, I would only bring that to the commission if we as a city were approached. Right now, I don't see it as it's not an issue because they're not coming yet. But if it happens, then yeah, certainly they can put it.
Yeah, especially when you are doing this active transportation plan, as you can see it going forward,
Yeah.
things might change in terms of this new same infrastructure being used or shared for other purposes.
Sure.
And in which case, like what should be our city's policy for that? Okay, all right. Along the same lines, I see the e-bikes and scooters and are also using the same lanes. And, you know, it was not necessarily the lanes. And I see even people who are on those vehicles are trying to ride on to the pedestrian, you know, sidewalks as well. So the question is like, you know, what do we have a policy for that, or should we really?
Only what's in the California Vehicle Code. So we don't have a specific city policy on e-bikes and e-scooters, but we follow and the sheriffs follow the state laws. And we did put, do you have it on that website? We did put up on our website an informational page about e-bikes and e-scooters as it relates to how they're defined and what the laws are. Because I know there's a lot of confusion about that. And if I can locate that, I'll send a link out to the commission on that website so that you have it.
Okay. And you don't see any issue where we have to bring it for a discussion if we are to make any updates to the policy?
Well, again, there's no policy. We just follow California.
From California vehicle. All right, so I think we've come to the end of any suggestions for future. Okay, see none. Commissioner Matipatla, do you have any suggestions for future agenda items?
No, I think, good. So I think we have 2 more meetings, right? In November and December.
Yes, that's correct.
I have one thought for a future agenda item, which may or may not be appropriate for the commission, is that, since the Deanza Boulevard, bike lanes were put in, do we have any data that the commission can look at as far as, how is it, there was some controversy originally when we, about the effect on traffic, but I would be interested in knowing, has it really had effect on the traffic?
I have collected travel time data or before and after travel time data, and I can share that with the commission.
Do you want to bring in an update or should we?
Well, it's, without turning it into an agenda item tonight, so I don't want to get into a.
No, not today. I'm just saying like, how would you present it? Like, would it be in a staff update or would we have an agenda item to present it?
Well. You do it as a staff update unless you anticipate a lot of questions.
Yeah, if you have comments or questions, I would really bring that for transparency. I would bring that as a separate agenda item. So that was a controversial topic where people were very unhappy about removing the lanes on the Vianza, and without enough community input is what the issue was. But then, if you think that what's the before and after kind of data, then I think it'll be good for us to bring it up as an agenda item. Noting that down.
Some viewers. Bless man.
You could add that, or you have already done that.
Which one?
Which one?
Oh, the Deanza?
Oh, yeah.
At Deanza for sure.
Deanza data collection.
Yeah.
Before and data,
For an-
traffic data, yeah. Okay, all right. I think we have come to the end of the future agenda setting items. With that, the time now is 8:59 and the meeting is adjourned.